Hi everybody, I'm Shelby and this is 5 Minute Flute. Today we're going to continue our discussion from last week about basic care and maintenance of your instrument. So one thing that can happen is that just in the course of normal use, you can get kind of dirt build up in the joints of your flute. And the joints are where the separate pieces come together. So where the head joint and the body come together right here, and where the body and the foot joint come together right here. And what we can do to prevent that buildup is every time you take your flute apart and you clean it, in addition to swabbing out the inside, you can also give those joints a wipe. So, for example, when you take the head joint off the flute, just make sure to take your cleaning cloth and wipe around the outside so that that surface will be nice and clean and smooth. And just the same way, also wipe out the inside of that joint. So just take that cloth and kind of swab around the inside to make sure it's nice and clean and free of dust and debris and anything else. And in the same way, when you go to take apart your body and your foot joint, also give those a wipe. So the foot joint, just wipe out the inside there to make sure it's nice and clean. And finally, you take this and wipe the outer surface of that joint. What that does is it allows for a better seal between the joints of the instrument, and thus a better sound because you don't have air getting caught anywhere or escaping anywhere it shouldn't be. So another thing we can do to make sure our flute sounds great and is in good condition is to keep the pads clean. Because what you might notice is after you've been playing for a while, you might hear a little kind of sound coming from some of your pads. And what that means when you hear that sound is that the pad is either A, dirty, or B, has some extra moisture in it. And what this next technique will do is alleviate both of those problems. So what you'll need is a little alcohol pad. You can get these at the pharmacy. And you'll also need some cigarette paper. Depending on where you live, you might need to be 18 to buy this. Ask your parents if you're underage. And what we do is, let's demonstrate on the foot joint. So we have the foot joint. And let's say that this key at the end was making a little noise. What we would do is we would open up our alcohol pad. And what you do is take it and very gently place it underneath the key like that. And then just kind of open and close it a few times very, very gently, just to get some alcohol onto the pad. And what that does is the alcohol will both loosen up any dirt on the pad and it will also dry out any moisture. It's not going to dampen the pad itself. And then what we do is we place the cigarette paper in the same way right underneath. And again, we just kind of open and close it. And at the very end, very, very, very gently, just barely close it and pull it away. We don't want to have a lot of resistance when we do this. This is a very delicate operation because if we clamp down and pull the paper out, it can tear the delicate skin on top of the pad, and we don't want that. So, the most important thing to remember when you're doing this, though, is that cigarette paper has a sticky surface. You can see it on the top here. Don't put that anywhere near your pad. You want to always use the not sticky part, this side, not the sticky side. You might have heard that you can clean a dirty or damp flute pad with a dollar bill as well. And this is a pretty common rumor, but what this actually does is it makes the pads dirtier rather than cleaner. Because unless you have a dollar bill fresh from the mint that's never been used, it's going to be dirty just from being handled. So what it'll do is instead of removing any dirt or moisture from the pad surface, it will deposit more dirt onto it from the surface of the dollar bill. So now you know how to care for the pads and joints on your instrument. And if you take good care of them, it will dramatically extend the time between your visits to the repair shop. So if you like what you saw, subscribe to my channel, and as always, if you're interested in lessons and you live in the Boston area, visit my studio website and shoot me an email. Happy practicing. Have a great week.